when you pick your degree, you should really pick something that you're passionate about and you really want to spend the next 3 years of your life studying. In my opinion, choosing to study English literature is an amazing choice. I've really enjoyed my first year at university because I've loved reading this wide variety of books I would have never picked up before and analysing them and using critics and researching all around not only the kind of the texts themselves but into different theories and into kind of different historical and social contexts, and it's just been really fascinating. I now go to York St John University, but before going to an open day at York St John, I didn't really want to go there. My aunt recommended York St John because she's a secondary school English teacher, and she said that she'd heard it was a really good course and was kind of moving up and was just a really kind of good place to go to university to study literature. When I looked through the modules, nothing really kind of stood out to me. It didn't really capture my imagination until I went to an open day, and for some reason I walked in to into the university and saw these beautiful buildings, and the environment of York just felt automatically like home to me. And I'm not quite sure why I had that experience, but I think there is something to be said for just going to that university and just feeling your way around that university, because that's how I made my decision. I remember sitting down with my mum and just going, this is where I'm meant to be. I love this place. But it wasn't just the environment that kind of made me feel at home, it was actually one of the lecturers, and it was in one of those opening lectures to the course, I don't know what they're called, speech, to kind of give an introduction to what studying English literature would be like at that university. This professor that was speaking I've had now for one module last semester, and will have for 2 modules next semester in my second year. And she's incredibly passionate and funny, and she made me excited about the course. Finding a university that suits you is really personal. A university that suits me down to the ground may not suit you, so you really need to look around, shop around, see what university courses that you feel is right for you and what environment is right for you. When you're looking for a course, don't only look for kind of the course structure and the modules, and that is probably the most important thing, but also look for any other opportunities. For example, our university is kind of linked with the local theatre, which is York Theatre Royal, and we get free tickets to go and see plays, which has been amazing because I've got to see some fantastic plays. I saw Ibsen's Ghost. We actually studied that play as well, and that was a fantastic opportunity. And I got to see Germaine Greer speak for free. I mean, I never thought in my life I'd be able to see Germaine Greer speak, and it was amazing. I really like lecturers. I have always been one of those people who looks up to teachers and lecturers and kind of academics. I love academics. I think secretly I want to be like them, so I really just look up to them, and I find them fascinating people to talk to. And I think if you pick a university which you feel you could have a kind of almost an open dialogue or comfortable dialogue or discussion with your professors, that's an amazing thing, because you can learn so much from them, and it's really fascinating to listen to them talk about what they're interested in and maybe where they're doing the research at the moment. One tip I would definitely give to anybody starting a degree is to talk to their professors, and booking tutorials is a perfect way to do that. I love tutorials. I am very much a person who needs to talk through my ideas, and I think talking with a professor is not better than talking with a friend, but I feel I need someone who could be completely neutral and tell me, oh, I don't think that would work, or maybe that's a bit limited, that could be quite problematic, this is your strength. And talking with a professor who maybe has a speciality in what you're writing about is just fantastic, because I always get a lot more confidence after I've kind of spoken to them. There have been times when I've just gone up to one of my professors and just kind of almost verbal diarrheaed at them and just gone, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. Help me, please. And just beg them to help me, and they have helped me. The jump from A-level to degree is a jump. It's more of a change, and your first year is there to let you adapt to that change and for you to kind of feel comfortable, because I think one of the most scariest things actually about university is that I had no idea what the lecturers would expect of me. I had no idea of the expectations of university, of what I would have to do. It's just a very unsettling time at the very beginning, but you get used to that and you kind of find your comfort zone and you find the way you work the best. If I've managed to be okay in my first year, believe me, you'll be okay too. I think the main change really is you might go from reading 3 texts, maybe in an entire academic year at A level, to reading 3 texts a week at university. And I know that will sound scary and hard and terrifying, especially if you're like me and a slow reader, but you will adapt to it and you will find a way to do that. And I'm a slow reader. I take a long time reading my books because I like to annotate them really thoroughly, but I've learned techniques on how to make my reading quicker. I would definitely suggest get started on your reading as soon as possible. I didn't. I started my reading as soon as I started my course, and that was fine. I've been able to do that in my first year, but I felt there was a lot more pressure because I did that. Because I wasn't so prepared, there were a lot of times when I was rushing a book and panicking because I hadn't read the last chapter, or I had skim read it, or I'd only read the beginning of the book. And I think in your first year, you just want to feel comfortable and kind of find your feet. So to maybe take some of the pressure away, get started as soon as you can on your kind of primary core texts. If I haven't had time to really, and I mean really, read a book, I will always skim read it because I sometimes think it's pretty pointless when people turn up to the seminars and have absolutely no clue what the book is about. If you haven't had time to read a book, research it. Look for it on SparkNotes, Wikipedia, look for critics and theory, which I think every single university has like an online library now. So you can just type in the book that you're reading and look for any sources and any information about it and just take notes as if you have read the book really well. All of the reading at university will be independent and you will get to do your own research and find your own theories, your own critics, and apply it to the text you're reading completely independently, which is the thing I love about university. I really like independent study. At A level, we were quite independent. Our teachers kind of just let us kind of go off and do it. If you're worried about how you'll cope with the independent study, the lecturers are always there to help you. You can send them an email, book a tutorial, or you can get a little study group together with your friends and study the texts together, which I think would be really beneficial if you feel a little bit worried about the text and you don't think you can understand it properly. It's also really nice to hear other people's opinions on a text and to see their interpretations as well. During the summer you have off, spend some time reading seriously, because I did not have any time for recreational reading. In fact, I did have time for recreational reading, but I spent that time on Netflix instead of reading for my own pleasure. I really actually like being made to read books because it makes me read a lot more kind of diverse range of books and makes me kind of move into different genres. For example, this year I read some science fiction, and I don't really like science fiction. I'm not a science fiction kind of person. It doesn't really work with me. But I chose to write on a piece of science fiction and I loved writing on it. And even though I didn't really like the book, just writing on a topic that was really interesting to me was just incredible. University is a time to find out what you're really passionate about in literature. For me, there are always certain topics that I would just completely go for and just really want to write about. Often it will have something to do with feminism or Marxism. I really like looking at gender. Gender's a big thing for me, but I've also done essays on topics that I thought I would never ever be interested in. Most recently, my favourite essay to write was actually one on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde using Freud, looking at the architecture of London and how the architecture was used as a metaphor of the split personality of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I had so much fun writing that essay. I loved it. I was really happy. The strange thing with me is that I love researching an essay. That's my favourite part and annotating is just fantastic. At the very beginning, at the very end of writing an essay, I absolutely hate everything. But in between, I'm having so much fun, and afterwards, I love everything again. I actually chose a course at university which was 100% coursework and no exams. I'm okay at exams, I actually do pretty well in exams, but I don't think doing an exam is the right way to kind of identify or examine someone's ability in English literature, because it makes more sense to me to write an essay so you can really kind of open up your ideas and kind of get together a really well thought out argument and do lots of research around the topic. And I just don't think that sitting in an exam hall doing an exam is the best way to assess someone. In my first year of university, I did 6 modules. In my first semester, I did reading texts, which was a module that I really enjoyed because it was kind of quite diverse and it kind of felt very open and it didn't feel limited at all because we read a different variety of books and I learned a lot in that module. Forms of narrative, which at the beginning I didn't really enjoy, but then we read some amazing books like Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro and Ghosts by Henrik Ibsen, and I chose to write on both of those texts and I just loved it. Writing for academic success. I really didn't like this module. Well, I say I didn't like it. I didn't like it until we studied Dr. Faustus, and the lecturer I had was amazing and she was a lot of fun, and I was with a lot of my friends in that module. So I did enjoy it. The only reason I think I didn't really enjoy it at the beginning was because we did things like punctuation, and I'm not very good at that, so because it was a weakness, I kind of dreaded it a little bit at the beginning. It was also a workshop that started at 5 and ended at 8, and I really don't like seminars or workshops or anything really that kind of start in the evening. In my second semester, I did another reading text module, which was just as great as the first one. We did contemporary writing, which I didn't really like many of the books on that course, but my lecturer made it so fascinating that it was always interesting. I think that really says something about not only kind of the lecturer, but also the fact that you can really enjoy studying a book that maybe you didn't enjoy reading for pleasure. And finally, a gender and writing module, which I loved because I'm really interested in gender in writing. And again, we studied some books that were just incredible to read, like 1984 and Trumpet, and I like looking at books from a perspective that you might not normally look at them. For example, we looked at 1984, and normally when you think of 1984, you don't automatically think of a book that looks at gender or examines gender. I get 9 compulsory contact hours, which includes lectures and seminars. Because you don't get a huge amount of contact time, I would definitely suggest booking tutorials with a lecturer maybe that you just have a really good rapport with, or maybe has a speciality in what you're writing about or what you're interested in. Overall, I don't think university has really changed my approach to literature. It has just made me love it even more. I love studying English literature at university. I feel like I've really found my passion and I would honestly stay here for the rest of my life. I love researching and talking to the lecturers and talking to the other kind of people in my class about the books we're studying, and it's just been a really eye-opening experience and a really fun experience and something that I don't ever want to end. I hope this video has been useful to any of you who want to study English literature and has maybe given you a bit more of an insight into actually kind of what a degree in English literature kind of entails, because I remember being really scared and not really knowing anything apart from kind of the course information on my university's website. I know that I haven't discussed every single question that I was asked. I have tried, but if you do have any more questions, I would happily answer them for you in the comments.